All right, just dealing with a little technical stuff, getting all set up here. This is using locality research to solve complex problems. My name is Mindy Taylor, and I am an accredited genealogist professional specializing in the England region. I work for Price Genealogy doing England and US research, and I also work with ICAPGen study groups and presentation committee. I want you to consider a scenario where you have some information, whether this is from a client or your grandma or from a family group sheet. You have a name, you have a location, and you have a year at least of a birth date. And all you need is some documentation for this person so that maybe you could find the names of their parents and get back farther in your genealogy. So you think this is going to be pretty easy. You've got the name, you've got a location, you've got a date. And so you sit down to Ancestry or FamilySearch and you start doing some searches. And you come up with nothing. You can't find anything. And so you start using all those name tricks, using phonetic spelling or some crazy spelling to pick up the way that a name might have been misindexed. You even use those little asterisk tricks and stuff like that. And you still find nothing at all. And you're getting kind of discouraged. Well, this might be the perfect time to do locality research. Locality research, we kind of make a shift from researching a person to researching the place. So locality research is gathering information on a location and the available records for a specific time period. All right, what I like to do when I'm starting locality research is to kind of double check the source of the location and time period information. Was this information just passed down through time, through generations? Is it like a tradition, word of mouth? Did somebody calculate this date? Could it be off by 10 years or 20 years? Have I studied the other family members? Do I know that how this person fits into the family's timeline? And if not, if this information came from a document, then I try and keep an open mind about what the document has told me about the location. Sometimes on a census record or a passenger list, there is a location, maybe at the top of a family or at the top of a page, and then there's ditto marks all the way down the page. Is that giving us the location information, or is that just lazy recording? So we need to be really careful with ditto. We also want to consider who the informant might have been. Who was giving this information on the document? We may never know, but we could maybe think about who it could have been. And would they have known this information, or would they be mistaken possibly because they weren't there when it happened? Also consider what question was asked the informant. Were they asked, where were you born? Or were they asked, where are you from? Those two questions can have a very different answer. So if somebody was asked, where are you from? They may have given the nearest large city or a region, and maybe not a very specific town or place. So we want to make sure that we're checking any nearby places to the location that is written on our document. All right, then we're going to start gathering information on this location. We want to consider jurisdictions, boundary changes, history, and geography about the time period that we're looking. So we want to consider all the things that could have occurred during the time our ancestor was there. Starting with jurisdictions, a jurisdiction is the territory over which authority is exercised. So in genealogy, we usually see two types, I guess, of jurisdictions. You've got civil jurisdictions and religious jurisdictions. A civil jurisdiction might be as big as a country. a state, a county, it could be a town, a court, a district. And religious jurisdictions can be parishes, dioceses, circuits, or a court, because in some places, sometimes religions did have their own courts. All right, so then we're asking ourselves the question, in what jurisdiction would the record be found at this time period? All right, for example, if I'm looking for a census record, am I looking for a US census or am I looking for a state census? If I'm looking for a birth record, am I looking for a church, like a baptism, or am I looking for a civil or a birth certificate, something that was kept by the government? Your person may have been born in the location that you were given, but the record for that person is in a parish, and that parish goes by a different name than that town. So we may have to consider the jurisdiction where that record might be located. All right, now we're moving on to boundary changes. Some things we might want to consider with boundary changes is, when was the area settled? When did it officially become a city, a county, or a state? Is this during the time period my ancestor was there? When did changes take place in jurisdictions? Are there any maps that show this change of borders? You might be looking in the right place, but that location could have been in a different county or even a different state. So, checking the boundary changes at different time periods can be really, really enlightening. History, next, what we want to consider next is the history of the location. Who originally settled the area? Were the settlers associated with a religion or an ethnicity? What industries brought people to the area? Is this a coal mining area? Is this a lumberjack town? Or are we dealing with fishermen or something different? When did the area become a city, a county, or a state? Has the name of the location changed over time? And during the time period that my ancestor was there, what was it called? Was the area part of a big historical event like wars or disasters? Also, what laws affected the creation of different records in this time period? You may be looking for the right, you may be looking in the right location, but the record set for that time period might be lost, destroyed, or it was never created because there was too much going on to keep records. All right, moving on to geography. The most important thing that I think you can consider for geography is migration trails. If we can get information about migration trails and how the area that we're looking at was settled, it can be very, very helpful in tracing ancestry back through time. So being able to figure out where our ancestors were from. Other considerations with geography are physical features like mountain ranges, lakes, rivers, forests, deserts, or oceans. And also the distribution of populations and resources, land use, and industries. If, for example, your ancestor was a sailor, he may have had children born at ports all around the country. So you may want to get familiar with shipping routes and what path did certain boats take? What ports were there? And all that can be very, very helpful when you're trying to solve a tough problem. All right, the second half of the definition of locality research is finding the available records for your time period. So we're going to move on and talk about that a little bit here. All of our research starts with a question. That's what we want to do, is answer a question. And we'll call that our objective. And our objective is we need it to be clearly defined. We need to clearly define what we're looking for. We need a target to hit. We can't just throw a net out there and see what we catch. We need to have some target of what we're looking for. And then we're going to ask ourselves what type of record might hold that information. All right, one really great resource out there to help you think about different records is the FamilySearch Record Finder. In order to find one, you go to Search, Research Wiki, and then you type in the name of your location, either a country or a state, and then do Research Record Finder, okay? And that will pull up a chart that looks like this. You can also Google it. I have found them pretty easily just Googling a location in Record Finder or FamilySearch Record Finder. And this chart, you can scroll down. It goes down quite a ways, more than this slide shows you. But it comes in 3 columns. And the first column is the target. What am I trying to find? So if I'm looking for a birth date, it tells me in the first column, first look in vital records, church records, Bible records, and then search cemeteries, obituaries, and census records. So this gives me, gets me thinking about a bunch of different records that I could check. Each one of these blue words is a link to a FamilySearch Wiki article that teaches you about that record type. You can also find all the different record types on the right-hand side if you follow that yellow arrow. So you could learn more about adoption or church records or military records for this area. And all of that information will help you target in on the information that you're trying to find and what is the best place to find it. Another really great resource is the ICAP-Gen Regional Resources pages. If you go to the ICAP-Gen website and you go under Becoming Accredited and Testing Regions, there are PDFs for each region that you can accredit in. So a bunch of different countries and then regions in the US. And at the very top of those PDFs is this chart that gives you the important record types for that region. This one's for the Mid-Atlantic states. And the columns are must know very well, good working knowledge, and some familiarity. And these are major clues to the record types that you would use in that area. So for example, in the US, there in some places, land records are very valuable records to search. In England, we wouldn't use land records very often, hardly ever. So knowing what record types are like your go-to records, and if you don't find it there, then move up to the other records that might hold that information and solve the problem for you. It's very valuable information. So check those out. Another really valuable skill for any researcher is to learn how to use website card catalogs. The card catalogs on websites help us learn what collections they hold for our location. You can search all day on a website and never find anything if they don't hold a collection for your location. So finding out whether or not they do hold records is really, really time-saving, even though it's an extra step sometimes. Also, it helps you learn what time periods are covered by the collection. So say Ancestry does have a collection for my location, I need to know what years it covers as well. It also gives us the ability to search collections directly. And this is helpful because each collection is indexed individually, and it might have slightly different parameters than a universal search box would have. So searching it directly kind of helps us get some of the details better in place. Another thing is being able to access digital images of the originals. Every researcher knows that we are looking for the originals because the originals usually give us more clues, more information than the indexed version. So it may give us names of witnesses or a residence, and all of those clues add up to being able to solve difficult problems. So being able to get to the originals and even just seeing them in context of the other records around them can be really, really valuable. All right, we're gonna go over all of the 4 big websites: Findmypast, MyHeritage, Ancestry, and FamilySearch. And we are going to just I'm just going to show you how to find their card catalogs and kind of how to use them. It's going to be really quick, so feel free to go and explore on your own and see what else you can figure out. We're going to start with Findmypast, and Findmypast card catalog is under Search, All Record Sets. And I've put a list of countries that their records cover, just in case you're not familiar with Findmypast. All right, when I click on All Record Sets, it takes me to a place where there's a search box. I can type in a location or a type of record. I can also filter by location or a time period. In this case, I typed in Lancashire, which is a county in England, and at the very top, I'm going to click on Lancashire Banns and Marriages, so that collection. It gives me right away a whole search box just for that collection. At the very top, it also tells me more information about this collection, which is what I'm looking for. I want to know what is included in this collection. So as I read along down there at the bottom, it says view a full list of places included in our parish list. And I'm going to click on that link, the parish list link. This parish list covers baptisms, banns and marriages and burials. So I'm just going to click on the link that takes me straight down to the banns and marriages so I don't have to scroll all the way down through all the baptisms. And this is what it looks like. It has the parishes that are covered, and it also has the years that are covered. Very, very helpful information. So for example, if I'm looking for somebody who was married in Ardwick, St. Matthew in 1830, I now know that my person is not going to be in this collection because those records start in 1869 and go to 1925. So I don't have to waste my time anymore. I can go and see if I can find these records somewhere else. The other great thing about Findmypast, you can find their digital images by doing just a standard search, and off to the side of your results, you will have a box for the transcript and one that you can click on for a digital image if they have one. They also have these collections that you can browse through the whole parish registers. Very cool and very, very helpful. All right, MyHeritage. MyHeritage's card catalog is under Research and Collection Catalog. And they have the same kinds of things. You can filter by the type of collection, so census or military or newspaper. I can also type in a location or keyword. I've typed in England birth. I could then sort it by the number of records or the last updated records or the collection name. I can also refine it over on the left-hand side by the years it covers, or I could show collections that will only collections with digital images. So lots of different choices here, depending on my research style. If I hover over any of the collections, it will give me a description so that I don't have to click into the collection to read more about it, which is really cool. I'm going to go ahead and click into England and Wales birth, 1911 to 1954, and that same description's at the top of the page. And then I get the search boxes for that individual collection. All right, Ancestry. Let's see. Okay, so you start with search and you go to card catalog on Ancestry. Then you can, just like the other websites, I can type in a title, keywords, I can filter by a category, census records or directories or whatever. I can also sort by the date that's added, just like MyHeritage. So if I'm working on a project and it's been 10 years and I just want to see what records are new for this location, all of the new newly added record sets will come to the top and I'll be able to check those out. I'm just going to scroll down this same page, and down there at the bottom, we're going to check out deaths, German occupied territories, 1939 to 1945. I'm going to click on that one. And this brings up the search box so that I can type in my information and just search for my ancestry there. But the other really cool thing is it gives me this tip. So this is another reason to go and directly search the collection. It says, for best results, you should search using German words and location spellings, sorry. And that, if I was doing just a general search and I anglicized the names of my ancestors, I wouldn't find them. But if I come to this collection and I know, oh, I've got to figure out what the spelling was in German for my family, very, very good information, and I would probably find them. It also has on Ancestry, if the collection is browsable, there on the right-hand side, it has a browse this collection box, and you can just browse right there. If I scroll down to the bottom of this record, it'll tell me more information about what is included in the collection. So these are death certificates for German citizens who died outside of Germany. It covers the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Ukraine, Russia, and the Baltics. So if my person died somewhere else, then I wouldn't need to use this collection. I would find a different one. So very helpful to know this as I'm searching. All right, going back to the collections page, I'm just going to click on Boston, Massachusetts, U.S. tax records. It's just right there above deaths in German occupied territories. And this one doesn't have a search box. And the reason this one doesn't have a search box is because it is a browse collection only. So if I was just doing a general search, nothing in this collection would have been searched. It's not indexed yet. But I can, if I search for this location, I can find this collection and then I can browse it and I can look at all of the digital images for this collection. All right, one more example on Ancestry. I'm just going to type in Georgia birth, and I'm going to click on Georgia select births and christenings. I actually did this for one of the examples that's coming up, so you'll be familiar in a minute. All right, and it takes me to the search box for Georgia select births and christenings. And it's not browsable. I don't see a browsable box off to the side there. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and I see there's not a lot of information about this collection here on Ancestry because it is shared with FamilySearch. And so if I click on that FamilySearch link, it will take me to the FamilySearch historical records article in the FamilySearch wiki. And I can learn all about Georgia births and christenings right here. It tells me what's in the collection. If I scroll down, it gives me the collection content and a coverage table, which is exactly what I wanted to find. If I click on the blue coverage table link, it takes me to this chart. And as I scroll down this chart, this is exactly what it looks like all the way down the chart. There are very, very few births and christening records included in this collection. And the births and christenings start in 1845 and go to 1930. But the collection said it was births and christenings starting in 1754. So something is not what I was expecting it to be. Obviously, this collection is basing all of its birth record information off of marriages. And that is very, very good to know. I also took the coverage table and I put it right next to a list of all of the counties in Georgia because I wanted to see what counties are covered. And right away I could see that Atkins and Bacon and some other counties in that list are not even included in this collection. So if my people are from Bacon County, then this collection holds not even no birth records, but also no marriage, and most likely none of the death records either, because there's no records at all for Bacon County. All right, now we're going to look at FamilySearch's catalog. FamilySearch catalog is a little bit different. It's under search and catalog, but the thing that makes this different is that this catalog is for all of the family history library's holdings, and a lot of them are on FamilySearch. So it's kind of for both, if that makes any sense. You can search by surname, titles, author, subject, keywords, If you are doing or looking at somebody else's research and you have a source citation that has a family history library microfilm number, you can put that in the film and fish number. You can search by the film or fish number and it will bring up the collection. All right, I'm just going to search by place. So I put in England, Suffolk, and Ipswich. And it brings up all of the holdings of the Family History Library. It has a bunch of different categories like cemeteries, church records. I want to point out history. Down there, there's 21 records in history. Those may be county histories, they may be state histories, they may be, you know, whatever. It's a good place to check if you want to learn more about the history in the area. I'm going to just go ahead and click on the church records, and there are 55 church records. So we're just going to start with the top one, and that's baptisms and burials for St. Nicholas Street Church. And the top of the page just gives you the information about the collection. Then you scroll down to the bottom, it will show you the years that are covered in the baptism burials, just like, you know, some collection names won't have the years, but down here they always have the years that is covered. It also has like the film number, it has the digital number. There on the very far right, there's a camera. That camera means there are digital images of this collection. The key above the camera means that this collection is locked unless I'm in a family history center or in the family history library, and then I can look at the collection. If there's no key above it, if it's just a camera, then I can look at it at home in my pajamas anytime I want. Underneath format is a magnifying glass, and that magnifying glass is telling me that this is an indexed collection. It is searchable. So if I click on that magnifying glass, it takes me to the individual search boxes for this collection. And I can then narrow it by birth or marriage or death or whatever I would like to. Just for future reference, this is a catalog entry for Almondsbury, Gloucestershire, England. And there at the bottom, you can see 2 of these catalog entries that have a microfilm reel. That means that this collection, those 2 collections, are still only available on microfilm at the Family History Library. It also gives an example of the camera without a key there at the top, just so that you can see that. You might also see collections that are just for a book. So you'd have a call number. It might have a link to a digital book. It may have a CD-ROM entry. So lots of different things that you could see in the catalog because it applies to the whole family history library, but at least you would know if there is a record out there for that location. All right, now I'm going to show you the indexed collections of FamilySearch. So this is under FamilySearch Records, which is what we're all familiar with. We go to FamilySearch Records, it gives us the general search box. But if I don't want to search all collections that have been indexed, and I just want to find a single collection to search, then I go down to find a collection, and I can either type in a location or title there, or I can click on Browse All Published Collections, which we're going to do. And then I can narrow down my search right here. So I can narrow it by place or date or type of record if I scroll down. Or I can type in a location or a keyword and see what is held in the collection. I'm going to click on Alabama deaths, 1908 to 1974. It brings me to the individual search box for this indexed collection, and I can search for my ancestor directly in this collection. I also can get more information by clicking on how to use this collection. It's right there at the top, but it's in blue and it's really little, so sometimes you might miss it. But click on that and it will take me to the FamilySearch Historical Records collection, the FamilySearch Wiki article about that collection. And it tells me again what's in the collection. Hopefully we'll find some kind of a table that will tell us the years that are covered in the counties, etc. All right, if I want to search just by location, you can do that on FamilySearch Records as well. you can click on the US and it will narrow, or any country, and it will narrow it by state. I clicked on Utah, and it gives me a page of all of the indexed historical records. So I could search everything that pertains to Utah right here, or I can scroll down and I have little boxes next to all of those 120 collections that I can decide I want this collection and this collection, and then search just those. If I keep scrolling down, I can also see all of the collections that are only digital and that I can only access through the images. And it has links to those. And it also has catalog material, things like books or CD-ROMs or things like that. So lots of information gathered together for a little bit smaller than a country, but for a location, so that you can kind of see what applies to that area. If you are interested in indexing projects or things that might be searchable in the future, they also have those on each of these pages. This is the page for England, so it has several different ones they're working on for that area. All right, if you are working in a place where they are filming your records like crazy, there is FamilySearch Images. They have 300 plus digital cameras worldwide that are filming each day. They're getting more and more records filmed, which is awesome. And they're made instantly available here on FamilySearch Images. So you go to FamilySearch.org, and you go to Search and Images. And you will be given a way to search by place or date, record type, etc. If you want to view the most recently added images, you can click on that and it will give you a whole list. I have found, just from my own experience, that if I go to the FamilySearch catalog and I search for my location there, these records are already cataloged within not very long. So you will find them there in the catalog as well. But this is a different avenue that you can look at if you're interested. All right, if I still cannot find what I'm looking for, remember that there are also archives, libraries and universities, historical societies and museums that all hold records, and we can check and see what other places might have besides the internet. Not everything's on the internet. We could also admit that that type of record may not exist. If I'm looking for a birth record and it just was never created at that time period, then I'm going to have to use a different record type. Or I could use indirect evidence using documents from siblings or parents and putting that information together to figure out an estimated year of birth or something. All right, we're going to go through 2 examples, and I'm going to cover a bunch of different resources. We're going to do an example from England to represent foreign countries. Easy for me because I'm more familiar with England. And then US. The examples are very similar, but we're going to go over all the different resources that you can use when doing locality research. All right, so the first example is for Briarcliff, Lancashire. Our objective was to find a baptism record for William Park, born 5th of February, 1800 in Briarcliff, Lancashire, England. So we have a location, that's Briarcliff. We have a time period, about 1800, and our jurisdiction would be most likely a religious. So we're looking for maybe a parish. So because I have a place, the name, and a date, I go to FamilySearch catalog, and I plug in my place, England, Lancashire, Briarcliff, and it takes me to all of the collections that the Family History Library or FamilySearch holds for Briarcliff. I click on church records because that's what I'm looking for, is a baptism record, and I immediately find that if I'm looking in 1800, the parish of Briarcliff does not have the records that I'm looking for. So something's going on, and I need to do a little bit of locality research. So I'm going to do some on Briarcliff. And we can take the easy way out, right? We can Google it. We can check Google Maps. It just gives us modern locations and counting boundaries. So it's not going to be specific to our time period, but it may give us kind of the lay of the land, help us get a feel for what's kind of around Briarcliff. We can also check out Wikipedia. It has statistics and some history. That's really good information. And on the Briarcliff page, it was very helpful. It says Briarcliff with Edwitzel was once a township in the ancient parish of Whalley. So now I could check out Whalley Parish and see if it has the earlier records. That's fabulous. If I want to put those two together, the Google Maps and the Wikipedia, there is FamilySearch.org research places. And it is a combination basically of Google Maps and the information. I kind of put this slide halfway in between so you can kind of see the map, kind of see the information. It gives you other names for the place. It gives you historical, it gives you research links. So it's a good place. It's a good place to check out. If you cannot find your location by Googling it or looking on FamilySearch places or in the FamilySearch wiki, try gazetteers because sometimes the place name may not be in use anymore, and gazetteers do a lot of historical names, and that's very, very good place to check just in case. All right, another great resource is the FamilySearch Research Wiki. I kind of showed you where it is before, but we'll do it again just to make sure. You go to the search and research wiki, and then I just type in my location. I type in Briarcliff, Lancashire, and it gives me a page that looks a lot like Wikipedia. It gives me the same kind of information for the chapel history, which says that, you know, it used to be within the boundaries of Whalley Parish. But the cool thing is as I scroll down, it gives me this cool list of online records. So all of the websites that hold records for Briarcliff are listed here. And it gives me a chart of what years are covered by different websites. So if I'm looking for a baptism in 1800, it shows me right here that Briarcliff doesn't have those records, but Whalley does. And you can find them on FamilySearch or Lancashire Online Parish Clerks. So right away, I can find my records much, much quicker right here. If I scroll down, it also gives me maps and gazetteers and some websites to check out. So we're going to start with this really, really great England jurisdictions map of 1851. It's got a clickable map again. So I find Lancashire County and I click on it. And it asks me what I want to do, and I tell it that I want it to list all the parishes in Lancashire, which it does over on the left-hand side there. And I just choose Briarcliff. And it brings up where Briarcliff is on the map within the county of Lancashire. And underneath that arrow, because this map is laid over the Google Maps, I can see where Briarcliff is. And Briarcliff is also a town, not just the parish. So if I didn't know to go check in Whalley Parish for the earlier records, I could look at this map and I could say, well, my person lived very, very close to not just Briarcliff, but also Little Marston and Burnley. So this map helps me see other places that I could check and see if my person's record is there. The other cool thing about this map is it shows that that Briarcliff Parish is right on the border of Yorkshire, which is a totally different county. So if I'm always searching in Lancashire, my person may be in Yorkshire. He's not that far away from it. So having that information gives me one more place that I can search and check for records. As I scroll down that page, it goes to the websites, and I'm going to show you Briarcliff on the Genealogy website. Genealogy is very much like FamilySearch Wiki. It covers Ireland, Scotland, and England, and it has a map. It tells me archives and libraries for the area. If I keep scrolling down, it shows me what churches were in the area. So a lot of England records that are indexed are Anglican records. But if there are 4 different churches in this area, Baptist, Methodist, and Quakers, I can click on any of these and find out what time these churches were operating and see if I can't find records for these other churches, if I can't find my person in Anglican records. Another one of my really favorite tools on Genuki is down under Gazetteers, and it is the distance calculator. So if I find a record in Yorkshire for a person that seems to be my person, I can see how far away from Briarcliff it is. And that just helps me see if that amount of miles, like, if it's only 5 miles away, that's pretty close. But if it's, 50 miles, maybe that's a little too far for my person. So very, very helpful tool. All right, now we're going to move on to the example in the US. This is in Chattooga, Georgia. Our objective is to find a birth record for Mary Ann Etheridge, who was born in 1833 in Chattooga, Georgia. She was married 31 of March, 1850 in Menlo, Chattooga, Georgia, and we know that because we have her marriage record. So we have a location, which is Chattooga, Georgia, and the time period is about 1833. And we don't know if we're going to find a civil or religious record because we haven't done enough research in Georgia. So we're going to just say, well, it could be one or the other, right? I'm going to go to the FamilySearch catalog and search for Chattooga, Georgia. And again, immediately I find that under the church records, there isn't anything that dates in 1833. And the census records, they only have 1840. So something's going on and I need to find out more. So I'm going to do a little locality research on Chattooga, Georgia. So I go to the FamilySearch wiki and I go to the Chattooga County, Georgia genealogy page. There's all this information here for me. I'm going to scroll down and there is this cool chart that tells me when birth, marriage, and death records started being recorded by the county or the state government agencies. It also tells me boundary changes and record loss. So there's no record loss, but boundary changes. In 1838, Chattooga County was created from Floyd and Walker counties. So that gives me 2 other counties to check out because before it was Chattooga, it was Floyd and Walker. The thing that I really, really need now is a map. And it gives me a recommendation to go see mapofus.org website that has a county boundary map for Georgia. And this is the Map of US Georgia page. This is really cool. It has an animated map, so I can push play and I can see all the counties form of Georgia as it happens, date, from one date change to the next. I took some screenshots just so that I can see the area that Chattooga County was in. And in 1831, so if my person was born in about 1833, let's go to so in 1838, I want you to see where Chattooga is. You can see it's right there between Walker and Floyd up in the top corner there. So going back, if my person was born even a year or 2 sooner than I think, like in 1831, it was all part of Cherokee lands. So that's something I didn't know. Now I'm going to learn a little bit more. In 1832, just a year later, they formed Floyd and Murray County. So now I don't just have Floyd and Walker County that I could check out, but I also have Murray County, and that might be where my ancestors' records are. In 1833, then, we have Walker and Floyd counties in the area up there by Chattooga. And then in 1838, you can see where Chattooga has been formed out of those. So very, very helpful to see all the changes over time that happened in Georgia and the Georgia counties. If I want to see pretty much the same thing, I can go to the Atlas of Historical County Boundaries, which is on publicationsnewberry.org. And they just have a selection box down there with the historical borders. And I can select a date where the borders changed, and I can see those changes happening on the map, just like the maps of the US. So another tool, just depending on what you're used to using and what is most helpful to you as a researcher. If you want some more detail, you could go to randymajors.com Research Hub. He has a really great tool, the historical US counties on Google Maps. So the cool thing about this map is that up there at the top where the little magnifying glass is, I can type in a location, like a city or a town, but I can also type in an address or, you know, something like that. I can get pretty detailed, a street name, and it will help me find that and pinpoint it even in more detail. So I just put in Menlo, Georgia, because I know this is where she was married. And I put in the date of 1833, and it pins that location as of 1833 right there by the yellow arrow, that blue pin. And I can immediately see that it's in Murray County. So if she was born in Menlo, like she was married, then maybe she was in Murray County. You can also ask it to show present day county lines, and it will put those over the top of the historical ones at that time period. So I can see you can sort of see Chattooga. It's kind of faint, but you can see it's smack dab in the middle of Chattooga, but it's right there on the edge of Murray County. He also has a list of all the changes and the dates when things happened. And so you can check out those. One other tool I want to make you aware of on his website is the section, township, and range on Google Maps. You can see where my pin still is there in Menlo. That part of Georgia did not use the town, section, range, but the county right next to it, or I mean, it might be I think it's a different state, does use the section, township, and range. So if I wanted, like say I have a land deed or I have some land description in a will and it gives me the section, township, and range, I can plug them in here and it will tell me where on the map this piece of property is. I can also search by an address, and I can put that in there and it will tell me in which section, township, and range that is located. So really, really helpful tool for genealogists, something that hopefully you'll get a chance to use. If you need a historical map, if you need something, say you have a street name that is no longer in use and you need to find out exactly where that street is, you can go to davidrumsey.com historical maps, and he's got a huge collection of historical maps of different locations, and you can find the one that applies to you and hopefully solve a lot of your problems that way. I know that you can also use these historical maps in conjunction with Google Earth, so check into that. All right, I want to just go back now to the FamilySearch wiki for the Georgia page. Instead of going to the county, we're going to go to the state of Georgia. It has so much valuable information. Every location, every page that they have can give you so much great information. So they've got like research guidance, they've got Georgia research tools, they've got online records in that blue button. If I scroll down, it shows me the clickable map of Georgia, so I can click on any of those counties and get to their wiki page. The thing I really want to show you though is that if I scroll down to the bottom of the page, it shows me migration routes. And look at how many there are for Georgia. I can choose any one of these. I just chose the Fall Line Road one, just as an example. But it gives me the historical background. I can see a map where these migration routes went, where they covered. So a lot of history, a lot of really great information right there in those migration routes. All right. FamilySearch Wiki is not the only source that you have for information like this. There are a lot of other websites out there, and depending just on your research style, you may find one that works much better for you or the region that you're working in. So I'm just going to give you a few US examples. There is Cindy's List, which has a lot of great links and things that you can check out. There's US Gen Web, so this is the Georgia Gen Web page. Lots of great information and links. There's Linkpendium, similar to Cindy's List, where it just has lots of links and things. Genealogy Inc. gives you the same kind of information FamilySearch Wiki has, maps and some good information about boundaries and county seats and things like that. One that I really need to tell you about is the NGS state guides. In the syllabus, I've included a list of all of the states that they have done so far. Not all of them are done, but these guides teach you how to do research in this location. So lots of information about different records and where you can find them, what they cover, and just generally how to do research in this area. So really good resource. Also, do not forget to just look up a state or a county or a social history about your area and see if there isn't anything about your time period that would help you solve the problems. There's, like I already pointed out, on the FamilySearch catalog under history, you could check out what histories they have for that location. Try Google Books, FamilySearch Books, the Internet Archive, HathiTrust, historical and genealogical societies quite often will publish their own. Newspapers for the time period, even just to learn a little bit about what's going on in the area. So there's like Ancestor Hunt that does newspapers by state, Elefind that searches the world's historical newspaper archives for you, newspapers.com, Genealogy Bank, Chronicling America, and MyHeritage all have great newspaper collections. If you feel like you just need a little education on how to do research in a certain place or about a certain record type, try Ancestry Academy. They have Researching a State. Findmypast has a history hub that teaches you some history, things applying to genealogy. MyHeritage has knowledge base. Legacy Family Tree has tons of webinars that you can learn from. The Family History Library has classes and webinars, and you can find a list of them on their website. They also list all of the webinars and online classes from outside of FamilySearch. So search for that, Google that, and you can find all the other classes that are available. I'm not going to read all of these. They're in the syllabus, but we have a lot of US reference books that we can go to and learn more about record types and how to find different types of records. And also British Isles reference books. I put those all in your syllabus. So hopefully something in all of this information will be helpful in solving your more complex problems. Locality research is definitely a way to figure out what went wrong. Why can't I find what I'm looking for? I really thank you for joining me today. I am excited that Roots Tech is still up and going strong with Roots Tech Connect. Don't forget to go and check out the other great content on the Roots Tech page. If you have any questions, if you need help with anything, I don't have all the answers, but I'm sure willing to give it a shot. My email is mindytaylorag@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.